नमः। आचमनीयं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। नैवेद्यं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। आचमनीयं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। ताम्बूलं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। श्रीफलं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। आरार्तिक्यम् कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। आरार्तिक्यं समर्पयामि चरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। आचमनीयं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। पुष्पांजलिं गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अखंडमंडलाकारं व्याप्तं येन तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री ब्रह्मानंदं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं विश्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादि नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणसहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। पुष्पांजलिं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरण कमलेभ्यो नमः।
अभिषेक सर आगे बढ़ाइए।
ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग, नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब, जय गुरुदेव to all of you. We are starting our national webinar today on the topic integrating the concepts of values and ethics for learning, unlearning, and relearning in management education. It is my privilege to welcome you all to this national webinar. First of all, let me invoke the divine presence of our Param Pujya, His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi Ji. May he bless us and make this webinar successful. I would be very, very happy and would consider it a very great privilege to invite our Chancellor, Param Puja Brahmachari Girish, for this webinar. I'm sure his benign presence and his guidance will help us to grow from strength to strength. I am very happy to announce to everyone that our beloved Vice Chancellor, respected Dr. Colonel Tejinder Kandraji, is with us today, and he will bless us with his words. And I invite him also for this webinar. I'm sure many of you, probably most of you, are faculty members as of now. More students may join in. I have the highest respect for teachers, faculty members, and I believe that whatever be your experience, your learning, your experience can be shared with others. And I am a lifelong learner. I know that I can learn from each one of you. And to make this webinar successful, it will be important that you also contribute what you feel during the webinar discussion and enlighten us with your views. I also invite the other participants, my colleagues, students, for this webinar. Proceeding further, I would like to call our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Colonel Tejinder Kandra, Sir, for giving a welcome speech, a presidential speech. He has been a guiding light for all of us. I have worked in the various universities, and I know that a leader who encourages his subordinates, who does not really create obstacles, rather empowers people, is the true leader. And our beloved Colonel Kandra sir is one such leader. I am very happy that he is with us. He has graciously agreed to address us. Over to you, Kandra sir.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you, Dr. Samir. And I welcome all the faculties and the students who have joined this webinar. This has been our endeavor, that is to have a regular webinars and workshops, the department-wise, so that we all can be benefited. Since I have been given a very less time, I won't waste time in that particular direction in praising each and every one. Remember one thing I always been telling to my faculty since last 10 years, whenever you are interact with the students, always keep one thing at the back of your mind. Whatever you tell them, that may be embedded in their mind, and they may take or they may follow that particular thing in their life. So while interacting with students, the faculties need not to be friendly. I will not say friendly exactly, need not to be too intimate, and you should only act as a guiding factor. That reminds me of Maharishi's word, that Maharishi always used to say that everywhere Maharishi's science of creative intelligence on all levels of education to unfold the full creative genius of individual consciousness and thereby enliven the full creative potential of natural life, which will spontaneously create Please note the words over here. Create coherence in national consciousness and raise the nation to invincibility. What I told few minutes back was to develop or create a coherence. And the second thing which Maharishi ji always used to say, that it is the duty of the educators to take the nation to the invincibility. Now, what is the first requirement of the invincibility? The first requirement of the invincibility of the individual or the nation is freedom from two important things. One is freedom from the weakness and fear. The freedom from weakness and fear can very easily be developed through a proper education. Now, once the individual identifies his weaknesses, if anything has gone wrong, I've been always advocating with my faculties, please try to analyze the situation. What, I will not say where I have gone wrong, what I could have done better to perform this particular act in a much better way, and I would have succeeded. Second thing is, if my conscience is clear and I'm sincere in my working, I'm a hard working, and I'm loyal to the organization. These are the three important factors which I have been always telling to the faculties and which we learned from the army. That is sincerity, hard work, and loyalty, loyal to the organizations. These are the three important characteristics which each and every individual has. It is the degree which matters. Now, as an educator, we have to develop these three qualities to the fullest in the students. Because what happens if I am true to myself, I'm hardworking, I'm sincere, and I'm loyal to the organization, I need not fear about anything on this earth. I repeat, if I possess these qualities, I need not fear from anyone on this earth, because I know this is my responsibility and this is my duty, and I am doing it to the best of my abilities and capabilities, and the students will always improve upon. I have seen that it is because of the fear. Sometimes we always tend to, I will not say lie, but not to give the correct picture, maybe for our own benefits, maybe for any other thing. So that is one thing which should not be there in the faculties, because if you have, your students will always pick up that habit and will not become a good citizen of the society. So the role of the education or educators is we have to prepare the individual's mind to think in a systematic manner and to provide the tools of thinking so that we have a very clear thought and a complete thought and comprehensive thought. If in our thought process we have a clarity, comprehensiveness, and it's a complete, I can assure you, there will be no element of fear in anyone's mind. And as we reconnect, that is, I know, for example, I will just go slightly off. Now, what happens? Sometimes as an educators, we put our personal agenda above the professional agenda. This should be discouraged, and we should not let this feeling come into our mind at all. At the back of our mind, we should always have only one thing, that is, I have been given this responsibility, and I'll make sure that all my actions will make this organization to flourish in the correct way and not to bring it down. Now, once the individual has a coherent and harmonious thinking, he balances his attitude, because most of the attitudes lead to the ego, and ego is the first cause. If you really recollect, we had in the last seminar, last webinar, I had very clearly touched upon, that is, what is and why there is a need of peace in the individual's life. In the individual's life, the need of peace arises only if his egos and attitudes is conflicting with the environment. I'm using the word the environment, not with the individual himself. So the moment you control these two things within yourself, your ego and your attitude towards the other individuals, you will always buy a peace of mind, and you will always be able to teach the correct things and pass on to the society. So our aim should be, that is, whenever we are interacting with the students, once a while, we must have a small interactive session with them and try to get the maximum things. Share your experience with them, and that will definitely help them to bring the harmony in their life and clear their lots of doubts. So I will just, since it's 5 minutes time, I'll just stop over here only, and I'll request Dr. Samir to take on this webinar ahead. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Dr. Kandra, sir, for your kind and enlightening words. I would like to now introduce our first speaker for the webinar, Dr. Rishu Roy. Dr. Rishu Roy is presently working as an associate professor at Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya. She was formerly director at Sanghi Institute of Management and Science, Indore. She has over 20 years of experience in teaching in various institutes in Indore. She is a registered PhD guide with Vidyapeeth University, Mewar University, Rajasthan, Pacific University, Rajasthan, and of course, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya. She completed her PhD in 2007 from BAVV. She has also done a 2 months FDP at IIM Indore. She has already supervised 6 research scholars and who have completed their PhD. She completed a course on people analytics from IIM Indore in 2020. She
Sanitary guide नहीं रहे सर
is also the
आज कर लेता हूँ अभी पेमेंट कितना है
is also the secretary of ISTD Indore chapter, and during this tenure, ISTD won the Best Small Chapter Award. She has conducted various FDPs and contributed to various national and international journals. She has also published HRD instruments on quality of work life, organizational commitment, internet advertising, and persuasion. I consider this as a very great achievement. She has participated in many international and national seminars and conferences and has conducted training sessions even for IAS officers and many faculty development programs at renowned institutes. She has designed the performance appraisal policy for Sangha Institute of Management and Science, Indore. She has been chairperson of many international and national conferences. Her main areas of interest are spiritual intelligence and competence, emotional intelligence, mental health, and professional ethics. I am sure all of us will be highly benefited from her talk, which would be definitely enlightening for us because she is having interest in such fields, which of course are not very common. So over to you, Dr. Roy.
Thank you, Sharma sir. Thank you for such nice words. I'll just share my screen and start the seminar. Is my screen visible, sir? Hello. Is my
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am, your screen is visible.
Yeah, and I'm audible as well, I guess. Good morning to one and all. Thank you for giving me this platform, and I would like to share my knowledge of today's topic, that is integrating the concepts of values and ethics for learning, unlearning, and relearning in the management education. We all know that education institutions have a crucial role in preparing youngsters for a promising future. Just now, VC sir has said that whatever habits you like to see in your students, you have to role model it. So actually, institution plays a very important role in training the students and building the skills which will help them to lead the corporates in the near future. Some qualities in ethics and values like integrity, critical thinking skills, leadership traits. These are certain qualities which all the corporates want to see in their leaders. So it is the responsibility of educational institution that along with imparting the quality education, they should also pay a lot of emphasis in instilling high standards of ethical norms and practice in these young minds, because these young minds are actually clean slates wherein we can write the things we want to. So this is the blueprint of my presentation, wherein I would be first highlighting the important and benefits of values and ethics. Then I would like to tell you that there is a slight difference, a thin line of difference between values, morals, and ethics. Then there would be a small Mentimeter exercise, which I will let you know. Then I would come to conscious based education approach and transcendental meditation. Then this I would not be covering in detail because this would be covered in the next session, I guess. Learning, unlearning, and relearning, but I will certainly explain some part of it, and then there would be a concluding remark. C.S. Lewis, he was a very renowned professor in Oxford University. He said that education without value will make human race a more clever devil. So it is very important that if you are having education, values and ethics should be inculcated in that. So, this is I must say, the organizers have chosen a very relevant topic. So, why this topic? Why we are talking about values and ethics in management education? There are some reasons and some benefits which I would like to highlight. The first reason is, ethics helps employees to differentiate what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. If we are having this thing in mind, or if we are able to differentiate these things, that is what is good for our personal and professional life, we would be certainly able to build the brand image of a person, like, as a personal, on personal level, as well as at the organizational level. Then the next is developing a citizenship behavior. There are certain people who are very loyal to the organization, but there is a concept beyond loyalty, that is organizational citizenship behavior, to go beyond your duties towards organization. I would like to congratulate all the people of Indore who are living in Indore, that you must be knowing that Indore has achieved number one in terms of cleanliness for the first time, for the fifth time. So it is very appreciable that the citizens of Indore have understood their duties towards society. So Indore being number one for the fifth time, this has automatically enhanced the self-esteem of all the people living in Indore. Similarly, if you talk about ethics and benefits, so ethics and its benefits. So if you have this quality in yourself as a person, that is citizenship behavior, you are understanding your duties towards society, then this will automatically enhance your self-esteem. Now, there is a thin line of difference between empathy and sympathy. When you are talking about sympathy, then you understand what others have gone through from your perspective. But empathy is beyond sympathy. It is to understand what others have gone through from others' perspective. So basically, this has enhanced, or this will increase emotional intelligence. During COVID-19, we all have witnessed कि even if suppose we were not in talking terms with our neighbor, but during COVID-19 we forgot all the differences and understand what they were going through. So COVID-19, I guess, is the best example wherein empathetic attitude of the people was witnessed. Obviously, when empathetic attitude would come, if you understand the perspective what others are going through from their perspective, so this would definitely reduce conflict. So it would help you to build high not only IQ but also EQ and SQ, that is emotional quotient and spiritual quotient. So basically, if you are trying to understand your emotions and getting compatible with others' emotions, so this will definitely help you in networking and building personal relations. Then this point is very important, because we come from various cultures, we come from different backgrounds, so we need to understand each other. So compassionate, we need to be more compassionate, and we can only be compassionate, or we can only understand each other if we celebrate diversity, if we appreciate diversity. So whenever you are talking about diversity, the pros associated with diversity are like creativity and innovation and better decision making. So the benefit would be, it would help you to attract best of the talent which is existing, and this will also enhance the organizational productivity. Because all people would like to come and work in your organization if you are celebrating diversity. So, in each of the aspects which I have discussed right now, whether it was, decision making or citizenship behavior, empathetic attitude, conflict, or diversity, all these characteristics helps in inculcating values and ethics in the organization. So let us go through very simple things about values. Now, there are two kinds of values, right? First value I would like to explain you from individual perspective, and the second kind of value is from the organizational perspective, right? Whenever you are talking about values from individual perspective, they are, as the name specifies, they are actually individual beliefs, because we are talking about values from individual perspective. So obviously they are individual beliefs which develops our perception, and perception influences our attitude, and whatever attitude we would exhibit, that would be seen in our behavior. So it is very important to have right kind of values. Now, as I have already told you that values are individual beliefs. So suppose if you talk about some food, whether it is veg or non-veg, right? So for example, if I say this particular food is good, then it is a relative term, because it would be good for me, it may not be good for you. And good, this adjective, good, is just a matter of opinion, or it is driven by culture, it is driven by your religion, it is driven by the circumstances or environment. So for me, the value could be work is worship. For you, the greatest value could be, going to some, whatever is the your religious institution, maybe temple, maybe gurudwara, maybe mosque. For you, your value could be going to the religious institution first and then start work. And for me, working is worship, so I may not feel going to religious institutions. So whenever you are talking about values are actually neutral in nature, they are relative. But when we talk about this, this exercise we'll do later. But when we talk about organizational values, so whenever we are coming together and working in one umbrella, in one roof, that is a particular organization, then my value and your value should not be given priority. What should be given priority is the organizational value. And when we talk about organizational value, we talk about core ethics or principles, or the values which organizations follow, and the code of conduct, that is the policy. And all of us, whether irrespective of the designation, irrespective of the caste, all of us should abide to the organizational principles and code of conduct, no matter what. For example, fair treatment. Fair treatment, unbiased treatment in the organization should be given irrespective to the designation a person is having, irrespective to the culture or the race or the caste that person is having. So whenever we are working under one umbrella or one roof, that is organization, then code of ethics and code of conduct is very important. So when you talk about organizational value and cultures, so there are certain variables which control organizational values and cultures. These are the stories. Who has founded that organization, right? Suppose your organization is founded by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi ji. So the stories, the symbols, the rituals, the culture of the organization would be like that only. So there are certain variables which are there. Now, I have taken this from Maharishi International University. There were some core values which were there. First was uh, development of consciousness. So whenever you are talking about development of consciousness, you are talking about awakening inner self. And when you are talking about awakening your inner self, you mean that you are committed in four aspects: intellectual aspect, emotional aspect, physical aspect, and spiritual aspect. You are committed in these four aspects for making world a better place to live in. Second is engaged learning. Engaged learning means developing a kind of framework that connects the part of knowledge to the wholeness of knowledge and wholeness of knowledge to the self. मतलब part of knowledge को हमने किस में connect किया? Wholeness of knowledge and wholeness of knowledge to inner self. When we are talking about health and happiness, so we are talking about creating such kind of environment wherein everybody is free. And VC sir has already highlighted how one could be free. If one is not doing anything wrong, then he would be free from the fear, right? So it is very important to do right kind of actions if you really want to be stress free, and you should not do anything which should make you fear in every aspect of your life. Then comes what? Inclusivity. So basically, I have already told you that celebrating diversity, tolerance, having tolerance towards others' perspective will make you attract the top talent from different areas or from different demographics, which would help you to face environmental and social challenges that would help you to thrive on a world of compassion. So basically, thriving on world of compassion is dedication to solving humanity by being more compassionate, but by being more empathetic. Now let us come to morals. Now, when you are talking about values, then you are talking about individual beliefs. And when you are talking about organizational values, then you are already talking about the kind of values organization had, which comes from who has founded the organization. तो जैसे जिसने फाउंड किया होगा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, जो फाउंडर होगा उसने जो कल्चर शुरू किया होगा, that would be there in the organization. But when you talk about morality, morality is the society attitude towards right or wrong. देखिए, वैल्यू और मोरालिटी में ये डिफरेंस है कि वैल्यू इज द इंडिविजुअल बिलीफ, वट एवर यू बिलीव is right for you, but morality is the societal belief. For example, in India, let us take an example of India only. For in Indian society, LGBT society is not very common, and your ancestors or our fathers and forefathers would not approve anything of such kind. So society attitude towards right or wrong is morality. You may be thinking high of LGBT society, but what society thinks, but what is the attitude of society towards LGBT society is the moral. When you talk about ethics, ethics are universal in nature. Very popular example about ethics is of Robin Hood. Robin Hood used to steal from rich people and distributes and used to distribute all of the things to poor people. Morally he was right because he was stealing from rich and distributing to poor, but ethically he was wrong. Why? Because ethics is universal in nature. Say for example, if you talk about ethics, then stealing is wrong, cheating is wrong. So whatever are the reasons behind cheating or telling lie is wrong. So whatever the reason is behind stealing, whatever the reason is behind telling lies, right? That is all null and void if you are talking about ethics, right? So ethics are moral values and action. Now, this is a very good example which would tell you what is the difference between morals and ethics. Suppose there is a lawyer, and suppose he is having one client, and his client told that he is guilty, he has committed that murder, and the lawyer goes to the attorney, जो judge है वहां जाता है, and वो उसको ये बता देता है कि उसका client guilty है. तो अब in this case he is morally right क्यों? क्योंकि वो गिल्टी था, उसको सजा मिलनी चाहिए थी, बट लॉयर का काम क्या था? अपने क्लाइंट को सेव करना. So he was unethical, right? Now let me take you to the another example. There is a code in mafia which is called as the silence code, and that silence code is called as omata. Now what is omata? Omata, it means you have right to keep silent if inspectors are interrogating to you. तो एक criminal था, and he knew where was the bomb installed, but he kept quiet in front of police, right? And there were so many people who died, right? So he was not unethical, in the sense he was right, because as per law he has the right to keep silent, but he was immoral because so many people died because of him, right? So, when you are talking about this is a comparison between ethics, among ethic, moral, and values. So, when you are talking about values, so I have already told you that values are individual beliefs. So, you can see here, these are the bricks which are lying. So, these are having no identity. ये सिर्फ एक ब्रिक्स हैं जो लाई कर रहे हैं. They are not having any identity or any integrity. और ये ब्रिक्स से कुछ आप एक स्ट्रक्चर नहीं कुछ समझ पाओगे कभी भी. So these are your values. So if you are sticking to your values, you will always be disintegrated, because that is individual in nature, that is subjective in nature. So I don't know what are your values. If it is good, then that is well and good, but if your values are not going towards ethic, then you might be in problem in your future. And this wall, this from bricks we have built a wall. So ye jo wall hai, this is what an example of moral. And this is house, this is integrated thing wherein which can be used for living, and it has its own value. So this is what the example of ethics. So I think I have cleared the example between morals, values, and ethics. This is a comparative chart wherein I have tried to highlight whatever I have told you just now. Now, before going to conscious-based education, I was talking about this exercise. Um, let me try whether it works or not. Now, let us go to Mentimeter, right? So you can go to this. Yeah.
Dr. Rayal, I would like to ask you one question.
Sure, sir.
You had been beautifully explained morality and ethical.
Ethics. Yeah.
Now, as an educator, how you will be able to tell the students, that is, whether they have to be a moral or they have to be ethical? Can you can you throw some light on it?
Yeah, of course, sir.
Because
the second...
always, why I'm bringing out this point is, as I said, these will always cause a clash
Reflection
in your mind. Whether I should follow this or that. And how, and one or two examples, at certain places, you may have to be more ethical. At certain places, you have to be more moral.
Moral.
Yeah. So just, if you have any example or something like that, this thing, you can dwell upon that.
Yeah, sure. The approach that is covered in my second part of the presentation, but
Okay,
I will not
Then
So
skip
shall I
over here.
go?
Then cover that time. Okay. Then
Okay.
cover that
So
time.
let us go for a small exercise first, because other it would be, you know, the webinars are quite theoretical, and so let us go for a small exercise. You all can log on to your computers and write mentimeter.com, www.mentimeter.com. Are you able to go to Google and write that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Just- right. So are you that code has been asked to you? Are that is asking for you some code? www.menti.com. This is what you have to write, and the code would be, I would write in the chat box. Six 521 4225. So are you able to reach to that? Six 521 4225. So can you tell me what are the sources of values? You have to write there, and that would be reflected here in this screen. Is it working? Is it working?
Not asking for any code.
Okay. Are you able to write, Dr. Chauhan?
No, basically it is not asking for any code. It's directly go to my presentation.
Okay. I don't know. Something has gone wrong, maybe technical. Anyhow, so then I will continue with my presentation only.
Madam, we can use the chat box for answers.
Okay. So what are the sources of values? Can anybody tell me, please? What do you think individual values come from? What do you think individual values, from where individual values come from? Family, okay.
Family, friends,
Friends,
community, or society.
yes. So these are the sources of values. So what I mean to say, values influence your perception. So it is very evident that values influence your perception. Let us go to where we have left. Now let us talk about, VC sir was willing to know how we can guide our students regarding where
I
to
will just
make.
intervene.
G.
Are there any more sources for values, because we have just been able to hear 3 to 4 only.
See,
You know, who
sources
is
of
the biggest person which imparts a value in an individual?
role model, your role model,
No.
your
From where do an
parents,
individual gets his values?
teachers, family,
First person who is your teacher
parents.
is
First,
your,
we get
yeah.
values from your parents, then teachers, then after that age group, the peer group, and the social institutions which he or she is there belonging to. Then obviously from the role models, because and then after maybe 25 years or 30 years, these values become constant. So they don't change very much, although values are dynamic in nature, because see, 10 years back my value could have been more towards my inclination towards my family, but now, as now at this point of age, wherein everything has been settled down, my value has changed from family to more, I mean preference has changed to family to my work. So it is very important to understand that values influence your perception, and values, the very first value which you get is from your parents, then your teachers, then your peer groups, then your social institutions and your role models. Then at a certain age of time, these values become constant.
With your permission, Dr. Roy, I will add to it.
Ji, sir.
The important source of value are not only individuals. These are the scriptures, the autobiographies, which definitely inculcate the value in the student.
Yes.
Moment we read any scripture, or in our house only when we say the morning prayers together as a family, or we read a book from Swami Vivekananda, there are a lot of points which an individual will inculcate in himself. So here as an educator, I feel that we have to dwell upon one point which is missing now, or which is diminishing, is to tell the students that they should spend some time in reading these things, in these scriptures, the autobiographies, because if you recollect what was a Gurukul system, in Gurukul system, they used to tell you to read these books first, and try to understand them. And after that, they used to go to the practicalities. So it is not for the students. If we find that as an individual, I am low in certain value, I must enhance my value by reading the autobiographies and various scriptures.
True.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So, social institutions, the books, life experiences, which I can read, self-will, parents, relatives, culture. So all these things inculcate values in a person. Now, the most important point is, when to understand, when we have to, emphasize more on values or morals, and when we have to emphasize more on ethics, is, is contingent on conscious based education and transcendental medication. Now, what is conscious based education? Now, today's world is called as VUCA world. Now, what is VUCA? V stands for volatile. Everything is changing. Everything is changing so fast, and it is really very difficult for human being. All the organizations even to adapt that kind of change. Now everything is uncertain. You don't know what is going to happen today, which variant is going to come in next month or next year. So everything is uncertain. Most complex thing in this world is not technology. That is what human behavior, the human mindset, what human thinks, what kind of emotion a human brain uh, you know uh, emerges from human brain. So that is very important to understand. So besides all the other complexities, it is very important and complex to understand other human beings. Then ambiguous. You are not clear because everything is so uncertain, everything is so changing so fast. So you are not clear what is there, what you don't have clarity for anything. So that is ambiguous. So as you can see, the social and economic climate, especially after COVID, which is prevailing, has given rise to unethical practices and behavior. These unethical practices, why they have come into limelight more after COVID, because because of the jest to win that rat race, because everyone is having this thing ki everything is uncertain in the near future, so they want to win the race as soon as possible. So to to have this jest to win the rat race, this has given rise to unethical practices. But if you see, these unethical practices were prevailing even before COVID also. So, what was the reason then? The reason at that point of time could have been a desire of profit maximization, which has forced organizations to get involved in the scam. आप लोगों ने सबने ये आईसीआईसीआई सत्यम एनरॉन इन सब का स्कैम तो सुना ही होगा. Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya, the fled ones. These people, not the fled ones, but others, are behind the bars because of their wrongdoing, and they exemplified immoral and unethical leadership, which was not at all wrong, which was not at all right. There was another scam, which was biggest scam, bank fraud, which was of 22,840 crore. 842 crores. That was a scam of recently quoted was the scam of ABG shipyard, right? So what I'm trying to say is, leaders should have been a torch bearers, but they have adopted unethical practices to win the rat race or for the jest of profit maximizations. So what has been happened? So there is so much of stress and anxiety everywhere, and this has certainly neglected the psychological well-being, or the mental health and the physical health of the employees are getting deteriorated. So all these three factors indicated that we have actually sidelined the importance of values and ethics in business as well as in personal and professional front. So that is very upsetting, and we have actually forgotten our roots. If you talk about our roots, then some very observant work regarding ethics and value and leadership was found in Bhagavad Gita. This shlok is present in chapter 9 and verse 10 in Bhagavad Gita, wherein Lord Krishna is guiding Arjun and saying, Madhyashen Prakriti Suite Sachara Sachara, which means, which basically means that the material energy brings into being all forms of animate and inanimate actions. That is the reason the material world undergoes creation, maintenance, and dissolution through three gods in Hinduism, that is called as Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Therefore, what is required? What is required is to relinquish or to give up the materialistic desires. But these things can only gain momentum and importance in our society if the young generation is educated by the contemporary techniques and approaches. And one of the contemporary techniques and approaches of such kind was conscious based education approach. And the man behind conscious based education approach and behind the transcendental meditation was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He was the founder of consciousness based education and transcendental meditation, and he started these Siddhi programs 50 years ago. Can you imagine? 50 years ago, he was able to understand that we need to shift from traditional approach of management education to the contemporary approach and the reason was to bring fulfillment to individual life through full development of consciousness, because if you develop full consciousness, that would lead you to many benefits. Now before going to the benefits, let me highlight what do you understand by, or what are the various components of conscious based education. The first component of conscious based education is the experience and study of consciousness. Then studying the standard subject in the light of consciousness, then having or developing a holistic awareness, then having these holistic awareness should not be developed only for some period of time कि आप जब तक पढ़ रहे हो तब तक आपने holistic awareness develop करी है, but you need to practice this holistic awareness throughout your life. And if you practice this holistic awareness based on conscious based teaching throughout your life, then your life would be stress free or will be harmonious, and wherein you would be working, you would be able to provide a healthy environment, a nourishing environment to your subordinates also and to your peer group also. So you would be a kind of stress free person. So whenever you are talking about conscious based education, so it has benefits not only to faculty members but also to the other person or to the students, obviously not only to faculty members or to the students or to all the persons who are directly and indirectly working in connection with you. So basically it helps you to strengthen your thinking, cognitive, that is thinking, physiological and emotional foundations. Affective depicts emotional. So emotional foundations of learning while promoting a healthy lifestyle and a positive behavior. So basically the kind of environment which would be surrounding you, the kind of aura which would be surrounding you would be not only harmonious, but it would be bringing good to oneself and to the society. So at that point of time, there was a shift in paradigm from conventional learning to the modern learning. So the shift in paradigm from conventional learning will make you unlearn the conventional techniques which were you were using in imparting education and relearn the modern techniques. So this is the diagram of brain, right? Now, the most important and the last part of my presentation is ethics in management education. What is the role of ethics? Um, it has already been highlighted that we need to be honest first of all. If you're talking about honesty, then we are talking, we all are working under one roof, under one organizations, so we need to follow the organizational rules and regulations and policy. When you talk about confidentiality, then you should always and always very very careful, because this era is of आपने कुछ काम नहीं भी किया है, then also forged pictures may be spreading everywhere. So you should be very careful in giving information to unauthorized people, and it is your responsibility, each and everyone's responsibility who is working under organization and under one roof, that he should or she should be responsible for holistic development of oneself, peer group, and students, uh, by awakening their inner potential and creating or producing best. Last but not the least, uh, the webinar objective is not to make you learn about what is the difference, or what ethics is all about, what are the values. The first motive of this webinar is to make you grow intellectually, or to make you understand what are the ethical dimensions, or what are the ethical fields, what are the ethical issues which are existing in various fields like education, uh, you know medical sciences, and anything which is more related to society. I'm taking these names because I guess medical field and education are more inclined, and army services, navy services, these are more inclined towards society. So the first objective is to make you grow intellectually, to make you understand the dimensions, the ethical dimensions which are existing in various fields. And the second objective of this webinar is to develop a critical thinking skills, so that you should be able to reflect, you should be able to emphasize the practical effect of all these things in the personal life, and as a group, or in your professional life. So I guess it is your positive attitude towards life that determines life's positive attitude towards you. So with this thought, think positive, be positive, and you all have a great day. Thank you. So this is all from my side. Now I would like to invite any questions if they are there. Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Rishu Roy.
Good morning, Dr. Viren. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It has always been my favorite topic, although I belong to technical background. But this values and ethics has always been my favorite topic. And thank you for this wonderful presentation. You didn't mention anything about humanity in your entire presentation. I didn't heard about the word humanity. I know these values and ethics are served as the foundation things for the humanity, for the development of the humanity. But what's your view on humanity? Also, I would like to know more about, you used one term somewhere in between, VUCA world, and you said it's volatile. VUCA world. Yeah, and you said it's volatile. I would like to know more about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Viren, when I was talking about compassion, and when I was talking about empathetic attitude, the reasons, so that was about humanity only. When I was talking about, you are not having, suppose, talking term with your neighbors before COVID-19, but when you see them suffering, you developed a empathetic attitude. So that was out of humanity only, that compassion was for the humanity only. So that is that was a wonderful question, that humanity, first of all, when we are talking about awakening our inner self and maximizing our potential, so that is what the kind of actions we do to benefit society, and that is what humanity is all about. Then I would like to tell you about VUCA world. This is a very popular jargon which is used in management these days. VUCA world. So when you talk about VUCA world, then whatever actions we are taking, when you talk about the mission and vision of your institution also. So mission and visions are long term, but these values, these organizational values, which I have already told you, these are volatile. These keep on changing, although they don't change very frequently, because they have been inculcated by the organizations, culture, and just kisne find kiya tha, found who founded the organization. So these don't keep on changing very frequently, but these are quite kind of dynamic. I have given example of my like for me now the work is worship. Initially, nurturing my family and my loved ones was my value. So there is a kind of value tree also, which is there in Indian system. Uh, I can show you that tree if you want to. So that is a tree
Sure.
in Indian system where compassion and humanity and values are given prime importance. Jesus.
Dr. Roy, you had been very, very brief, and you have covered the topic in very high standard, as I say like that. You covered all the aspects which are required in the management field.
Thank you.
And about these two aspects, that is humanity, as brought out by the director MCE, and about the volatility. Humanity is a very huge subject, and I think we can give this topic to Director MCE to conduct a webinar on this humanity for the educators, or to spread the humanity. The topic can be selected by him only, and the next webinar presentation we can have from him, I think within a month. That is there. Am I right, Vijay?
I welcome your suggestion, Dr. Kandra, and I would love to have something on this topic. And thank you for the suggestion. My gratitude to you.
Yeah, so you can plan a webinar on that particular thing. Okay, and we can cover it after a month, within a month, or after that. That's it, because it's a very huge subject, which will not be only related to the Indian society. Now, seeing the Russian and the Ukraine war, that aspects have to be covered up, that where the humanity is going. The latest example is of the Pakistan, that Imran's action, all those things. So all these things are now very, very, interconnected with each other. So what I will request is that is this particular topic, we can interact with Samir, and you can interact with him and discuss a topic, and we can hold it within a month about that particular thing. And I'm very thankful to you, Dr. Roy, that you have covered this topic beautifully. You have cleared my certain gray areas also, no doubt about it. At this stage also, we do have certain things. And important aspect I want to tell you is that is values can be learned not by reading only, but can be developed by observing also.
Experiences.
Observing. Everything you need not read, everything you need not hear, but you can develop a good values in life by just observing the thing. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Rest, I hand over to Samir. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to thank all the audience for the patience listening. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rishu Roy, for your very interesting, widely covered topics. Now I would like to invite Dr. Subha R. Singh. Dr. Singh is presently Associate Professor with Idyllic Institute of Management, Indore. She has been associated with earlier with Dr. APJ Kalam, APJ Abdul Kalam University, NRI Group of Institutions, EPCO Institute of Environmental Studies, Satyam Group of Institutions, Santirtharam Group of Institutions, Baba Group of Institutions, etc. She has done her PhD in 2018. She has also done her BEd and PG Diploma in Environmental Education, in addition to MBA and Diploma in Computer Applications. She is a unique thing I could see from her CV that she is also eloquent in Kannada. So I understand probably she is a native Kannadiga. I welcome you, Dr. Singh, for your next talk. Over to you.
Jai Gurudev. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Very good morning to all the respected dignitaries, Vice Chancellor Sir, Chancellor Sir, and Principal, and my fellow faculty members, students as well. I am highly honored to be a part of this webinar. I'm a speaker. I'm thankful to the management who has given me the opportunity to come and speak on the topic, which is very hot, that is integrating on the concepts and values and ethics for learning, unlearning, and so seeing all these prospects in management education, which we need a lot. So thanks a lot for providing this platform. And I would like to start my presentation with the a simple shloka that Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit. It means everyone should be happy, healthy, and prosperous and surviving in this ecosystem and life. So with all these blessings from by God's grace and Gurudev's Ashirwad, I would like to start my presentation with my PPT. Is my presentation visible?
Not yet, madam.
Just I'll take a minute. Actually, am I being made the presenter here? I'm not able to share it.
Dr. Tushar, can you help, please?
Just a minute, sir.
Ma'am, kindly retry.
I guess there was some network connectivity issue. Sir, I'm not able to share the presentation. Johan sir, can you share from their side?
Here I'll try. Okay. Sir, please make me co-host as well.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
In the meantime, you can just start.
Yes, definitely. Thanks a lot, sir. I would like to start my presentation with the famous line and the quote of Swami Vivekananda, that if you don't learn to control your thoughts, then you will never learn to control your behavior. That is, first we need to control our thought process, and then we need to learn to control our behaviors. Thought and behaviors both are different. Thought process is natural and we need to control it. We need to maintain a balance. So first we need to control our thoughts and then we need to control our behaviors. Behaviors are the representation of the thought process that we need to control. According to Swami Vivekananda, we need to learn first the thought process and then the behavioral repercussions will be reflected accordingly. And for that, the main thought was that we should go with the meditation. Because what he taught us is only meditation will take us to change our thought, our emotions, and our behaviors. So this was something which was given long years back, and we need to process in our management education, which I feel that is missing, and we have not taken this in our priority. So with this first line of Swami Vivekananda, I would like to request all the faculty members, students to practice meditation that will help us in changing our thought process, changing our behavioral process, which will definitely help us a lot in preparing good results, increasing our performances, increasing organizational performance as a whole. So it should be included as a part of study, as a part of management work, education, everywhere. And my second thought is from Alvin Toffler, famous philosopher from America, that the illiterates of 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. As if now we were listening to the webinar, it was all about learning, practicing ethics, principles, etc. But according to him, according to Alvin Toffler, if we are talking about illiterates, we only feel that we are about talking reading and writing. But basically, the most priority to this is if we don't know how to learn, how to unlearn, and how to relearn. These are three different important steps which has to be practiced. Because reading and writing can be done, but the process of learning, process of unlearning, and then relearning is something very different, which has to be inculcated in management education. And this webinar, I guess, will definitely help in learning these things. How we have to unlearn, how we have to relearn. These are something very good, important practices that has to be inculcated in the syllabus as well. Right now, we don't have a major portion involved in this, but we need to inculcate these things. And attain knowledge, add things every day.
हमारा फोटो लीजिए आ रहा हो तो.
We have to add things every day.
Vijay, please, just a minute. Vijay, please tell the people to get to mute their mobiles.
Sir. Okay, sir.
It's really embarrassing to say that is हमारी photo ले लीजिए. Tell these faculties that they should be more vigilant now.
Sir.
I will not accept all this kind of nonsense during webinar. Please sir. Go. Sorry, ma'am, for the interruption. Please go ahead.
Sir.
So I will start with the third famous quote, that to attain knowledge, add everything day, and to attain wisdom, delete things every day. This was given by Lao Tzu, a famous Chinese philosopher and businessman as well. What he said is to attain knowledge, everything. We daily in our working, in our schooling, college, workplace, we learn many things. Daily we attain certain kind of knowledge. But to attain wisdom, when we are talking about wisdom, we need to delete things every day. It means not deleting the knowledge, but deleting the unnecessary things or those aspects of life or values or ethics, we should not be forwarded to the next generation as well. This is something very important that we need to talk about. Now here we are not transferring wisdom, we are transferring only work, culture a bit, and ethics a bit. But we are not deleting these things every day on an every monthly basis. We are not talking about deleting or unlearning. This is something very important that Lao focus with these lines, that to attain knowledge, add everything daily. If we want knowledge, we have to add things daily. We have to learn things daily. We have to come on the tech-savvy conditions, aspects, prospects. Globally, we need to learn. And if we want to attain wisdom, we need to think about deleting things every day. That whatever is not needed, we need to delete all these things every day. As if we are deleting the data from the phones, mobiles, and all. We do these things. But when we are talking about ethical learning, it is about brain that helps you in carrying the knowledge, carrying the wisdom. We don't delete things every day. My focus area or my...
Madam, may I intervene for 1 minute?
Yeah,
we have
please, sir.
used a very, very beautiful word, delete. Now, can you dwell upon this particular thing? That is how to delete the things from the one's every day or monthly or something like that. What all things are required? Because if you recollect, all these are related to what we as a childhood or from the various Vedas, etc., we have learned it. I would like that you please throw some light on this particular, that's how to delete the thing and proceed ahead.
Definitely, sure, sir. My talk will be on this only. Basically, more or less, my talk will be focused on deleting things. That is, I would like to say it when we talk about word delete, we understand only one thing. That delete means we have to omit that thing. But delete, when we are talking about technical English word, it is deleting, means we are taking off. But when we are talking about ethics, principles, and culture, and deleting everything daily means deleting what is not required to be carried out. What we don't carry, we should not carry to the next day, next generation. There are certain practices which should not be taken on from one generation to another generation. There are certain things coming on daily which we see that should not be carried on. So we need to stop that. Stopping all those activities, those cultural, traditional, ethical ways of learning, other work to be done. Today we are practicing very unethical things also to just get the task done. So stopping those unethical practices to complete the task. Today's work in this high profile, global working, fast working, people are just trying to complete their task. And for that, they do unethical practices. So daily, if we are going to give 1 hour daily, 1 hour, it's a long time. If we are not having that much of time, 5 to 10 minutes of practice of daily recalling the whole entire day activities and what we have done good or bad before the sleep. This is something very good practice that we can do. And this is a practical, I have seen these things in my life as well, that when we practice this thing, earlier we need to have 5 to 10 minutes. Later on, you will have a meditation kind of thing. It will give you happiness. And we are a lot talking about happiness index and this and that all, but this happiness is not coming because daily we are carrying forward with all those burdens, loads, practices, which we are taking on the workplace, in teaching, in educating, in society, everywhere. We are doing a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, but we are not recalling it. Only one practice of this, that thinking entire day activity for 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour before sleep, when there is no one with you. If you are doing that practice daily, you can delete the activities, what you have done wrong. No one is perfect here. No one is 100% here. Everyone is doing 1 or the 2 mistakes daily. 1 or the 2 unethical practice daily, maybe small, maybe big. But if we could focus on deleting it daily, we will not repeat it. And someone has said, to make a sin is not a sin, but to repeat it is a sin. It means आज गलती हो गई है, उसे पाप की डेफिनेशन में नहीं बताया जाएगा, लेकिन वो गलती अगर हम बार बार करते जाते हैं तब वो पाप कहलाता है। तो आज गलती हुई है, आज ही प्रभु से प्रार्थना करें, क्षमा करें और उस गलती को दोबारा न करें। That is deleting. My prospect of saying deleting is focused to only this practice. And this is the only best practice that everyone could do, and not any efforts. And you can feel within 1 week, you will feel lighter. क्योंकि पहले दिन जब हम करेंगे तो आपको पूरे इतने सालों का बर्डन डिलीट करना पड़ेगा, तो टाइम ज्यादा लगेगा. बट व्हेन वी आर डूइंग इट डेली ना, यू विल टेक हार्डली 5 minutes. So this is my proposed example or exercise that by which you can delete the unethical practices, avoid the things which you don't want to do, and that is our dialect, that is our intellect, that what are unethical and what are ethical. अगर मैं चोरी को ethical मान लूंगी तो वो ethical ही रहेगा मेरे लिए. So we have to draw that line and follow those things. I guess I have made this delete word clear.
Dr. Singh, you have made it absolutely clear. This is what I was trying, that is, it should have been covered, and you have covered it beautifully. If you recollect, during our childhood also, we used to sit for 5 minutes, analyze the whole day's activities, and you will come to know about it, where you have gone wrong, and where all you require corrections. That's a beautiful way you explained. That is how the deletion has to be done in one's life. And it is very important because it helps you in removing your two things, which I started in the beginning, was your weakness and your fear. Both the things will be eliminated if you develop this practice.
Yes.
Second thing is beautifully explained what is sin, or what is, you can call it as a mistake.
Yeah.
Now, here one thing I would like, I have been, my faculties know about it. If a mistake has been committed, and as a head of the institution, I have to analyze whether this mistake has been done intentionally or unintentionally. Because if you are working, you are bound to make mistakes. Those are pardonable. But if you make it intentional, look, I have to let down this particular person, then that is a sin. Because mistake, it is not repeating the same thing. It is, the sin is related to your intention also. The mistake which is committed with the intention becomes a sin.
Exactly.
The mistake which happens during your course of work is not a sin. So my youngsters, they know it, all these faculties, ki if a chap has committed, just give a fraction of second mistake, analyze it. Intentional hai, unintentional hai. Unintentional hai, forgive him. Intentional hai, don't let him go. Take the hardest course of action or punishment for him, so that it doesn't spread evils in your organization. Don't leave that person. If someone has done intentionally any sin, please. So this quality, this distinction must be passed on to the youngsters, where they should be able to evaluate how to build up their values, how to become more morally upright, and how to be more ethical. These are the basic things, that is, which will help you in a, I will not say in your own personal, in your character building, but in your personality development. So you have explained it beautifully, Dr. Singh. I am really very happy that is nowadays also people are practicing these things. Otherwise, nowadays people think, यार इससे मेरे को क्या फायदा है? एक के, as you said, कि एक के ऊपर पैर रखो और ऊपर चढ़ो. No, that's not the that is not the life. Life is only for once. Live it to the fullest by the following the Shrishti's niyam.
Yes.
That we'll talk about little later on, some other day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And this is a practice which I follow, and ask my fellow members, my colleagues, and my community as well to follow these things. And many are benefited. Even students are benefited by this thing. Their change in personality and prospect of visualization has been changed and been appreciated by a lot. So even students say this. So there's a good practice. Only one practice can change the life. I'll come to the next slide of that is unlearning ethics. I will be talking about unlearning. So my focus area will be on unlearning, and what you have learned, you have to forget. What things you have to forget, what kind of planning you have to done about all those things. It means forgetting, to undergo the process of forgetting the existing knowledge. Existing knowledge is what we have attained till date, till time. That is the existing knowledge, and we have to undergo a process where we have to only edit, we have to take off or delete the things which should not be forwarded to the next generation, because today's generation, we are the only one who are giving culture or ethical life or learnings to the next generation. They are following a lot from the West. They are influenced by the West culture. So this is our moral responsibility, being a teacher, being a professor, being an intellectual part of community. We need to focus and develop practice of making them learn to unlearn. What all daily they are doing, they have to learn what things they have to delete. They have to prioritize it. They have to make the importance. They have to make a list and plan it. Something should be planned, and there are certain things which have unplanned. So it will go, by the way, same time. And when we are doing this process of unlearning, there is some positive aspects are coming out and some negative aspects are also coming out. Because when we are talking about positive aspects, positive is all about that we need to learn these things, we need to practice all those things which are good, which has given good impact on the community, on the office, on the college, or on within the relationships. So these are positive things which will develop. We need to appreciate people's good thing. This is something which is missing in the community as a whole, that we don't appreciate people. We need to appreciate them. Even if someone does a single line good, we need to appreciate that. We don't do that. Today's culture is that only seeing as a critic point of view, only trying to pull the leg. That is the priority which is not helping us to develop. हिंदी में कहावत है, अपनी लकीर बड़ी करें, न कि दूसरे की छोटी करें. तो दूसरे की छोटी करना is pulling the leg down and seeing only the critic part. But rather than, we should go with the extending our line, and extending our line is +1, +1, +1. And it will increase only when we'll appreciate our superiors as well as our juniors. हम दोनों ही ladder पे, दोनों ही hierarchy पे अगर appreciation नहीं रखेंगे, will not be able to motivate people. आप दुश्मन बनाते जाएंगे, आप लोगों को अपने से बैर करवाते जाएंगे. So better is to practice the good things. अच्छी चीज की है, appreciate करो, गलत चीज करी है, टोक भी दो. So practicing this kind of practice, that be positive, be good. आज आपने एक अच्छा किया, कल दो अच्छा करोगे, तो they will come with the 4 things that is good. So these are positive things. And negative thing is, अगर आप उनको सिर्फ negative highlight करते जाते हैं, if you are only focusing on negative things, ये गलत कर दिया, ये खराब कर दिया, ये बिगाड़ दिया, वो बिगाड़ दिया, it will not motivate people. They will get mentally, they will be sick, they will be feeling demotivated, and they will not come into learn, unlearn or relearn. वो किसी भी phase में आपके साथ में नहीं होंगे. So better is that we need to take all the positives. एक छोटा, हर इंसान कुछ ना कुछ अच्छा भी करता है, बुरा भी करता है. No one is perfect. So जितना अच्छा कर रहा है उसको motivate करें, गलत चीज को सिर्फ बता दें. इस तरह से you will be able to learn. Is there anyone speaking?
No, please carry on.
This was unlearning ethics 1 that I feel we need to do. The second phase of this is Unlearning Ethics 2. That is in the next slide. That is, we need to come on consciousness, presence of mind. Today's the best thing that we need to talk about is consciousness. People are not aware about their conscious and subconscious mind. People don't know. They have to be taught about. Many acharyas, gurus, they are all speaking about work on your mind. Sadhguru, Gaur Gopal Das ji, XYZ, many of them are talking about work on your conscious mind and unconscious mind. We have a lot of wisdom that has been forwarded by our earlier life. And in this life, if we need to focus on unconscious mind, it will tell us what are ethical learnings, what are principles, what is correct, what is incorrect, what kind of acts should be included, what kind of thinking should be forwarded. This is there. 90% of the brain is automated. We are not working on it. If we are silently sitting and practicing, our mind is guiding, our senses are guiding. हम senses की बात करते हैं, touch, eyes, ears, smell and all. 5 senses are working, helping. पंच तत्व जिनकी हम बात करते हैं, they are helping in our life. They are guiding us. 6th sense is provided to every individual. Every individual. We are not aware. So management education, we need to talk about learning, recognizing our unconscious mind, our 6th sense awarenesses. That will teach a lot. If you all are working with a 6th sense awareness, God is guiding us. Eternal power is guiding us. Eternal God means whosoever, Bhagwan, Guruji, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, from any region, any mentor. Everyone is telling, guiding that what is correct, what is incorrect. We don't hear to it. So the important thing is hearing to the subconscious mind, to the 6th sense that helps us in guiding. This is an automatic process. Biology, the sphere, the globe, the universe is being induced with this thing. Every object is having their senses. It moves accordingly, according to time. And we people, man, is the most developed human animal, we can say. We are not practicing this thing. हमें भगवान ने intelligence भी दिया है that we can change it. गलत पता चला है तो रोक सकते हैं, सही पता चला है तो आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, but we are not practicing it. So the second unethical learning is, unlearning process is about developing the consciousness and unconsciousness in our minds, in our intellects. That is something very important. The context is changing. When we are unlearning, the context is changing because the prospect, the perception of seeing is changing. But the knowledge does not. Whatever knowledge we have carried on, by the wisdom we are getting, it is all with us. We are not deleting that. We are only changing the prospect, the context of doing that particular activity. And the intention should be clear. When we are talking about a work or a task to be completed, or we are in a process of unlearning should be done with a pure intention, with a pure mind. Now, people will think about pure mind. कैसे होता है भाई pure mind? कैसे पता चलेगा? What are the parameters of pure mind? When we are working for a very good cause, bad cause, everyone knows. When we are working for a good cause, without intention of getting out of it, हमें कुछ उसमें से चाहिए नहीं in return. If we are talking, if we are working from that prospect, that intention, then it is pure intention. दान करना है, लेकिन हम बहुत दिखावा करके लाखों करोड़ों का चेक देके दान करते हैं, तो ये दान नहीं होता है. दान गुप्त दान होता है. आप चुपचाप करिए. आपको खिलाना है खाना, क्या जरूरत है वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग कराने की? But you, media is taking, we are taking a lot of people, we are taking media, we are taking everyone to highlight and showcase. हमने कितना दान किया, हमने कितने भूखों को खाना खिलाया, जरूरत ही नहीं है दिखाने की. So that is something very important. The intention, the students, the generation, everyone should be learned about intention. दान करना है, help करनी है, मदद करनी है, social service करनी है. No need of media. Do it. There are n number of people who are doing these things, who are helping people come out of these things. So the intention should be very clear. Prospects should be very clear while learning and unlearning process. Now, the next stage is the unethical learning. That is unethical learning 3. I have taken in the next slide. That is start by thinking how would you do something being trained. अगर आपको कोई ट्रेनिंग नहीं दी जाती है, तब आप कैसे चीजें भूलेंगे, कैसे चीजों को अपने आप करेंगे. So when I'm talking about something without being trained means no professional training, no guidance, and then learning to do these things. That is something positive. That is something which will take you to prosperity, to wisdom, one way ahead, one step ahead to these things. Because आपको कोई एक trainer train करके देगा, तो वो आपको एक particular sequence, syllabus, motto के साथ देगा. But when we are doing with our mind, with our brain, with our intelligence, with our awareness of our conscious mind, no tutor, no trainer, no one is needed. And we can practice it in a lot of times. We can increase the intensity. Level can be increased. Level can be developed. So this is something very important. If you need training. अगर उसके बाद भी हम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, then we need a trainer. योग है, आज हम अपने आप से देख के आसन कर सकते हैं, समझ सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर हम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, तब हमें योगा ट्रेनर चाहिए. Then we need to get a trainer, because वो आपको बताएंगे श्वास कितनी लेनी है, कितनी छोड़नी है, कौन से आसन में कब बेंड होना है, तो श्वास लेना छोड़ना है. These are technicalities. अगर हम नहीं पहुंच पा रहे हैं, तो हमें टेक्निकल ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है अनलर्निंग के लिए. किसी के साथ में प्रैक्टिस करें. Do with someone who has already done and attained that level. So that will help you. And then helping someone unlearn begins at understanding of stages of change. आप उसको changes बता सकते हैं. There is if there are tutors, if there are person who are guiding you, trainers, they can guide you कि ठीक है, अब आप इस level पे आ. Now you can go jump to next level, and next level. Like this chain is continued of unlearning, and each stages require different kinds of support, guidance, and help. So this was unlearning 3, what I have passed, and we have certain kinds of received wisdoms from our last generation. हम लोग जन्मों की बात करते हैं, इसकी बात करते हैं, तो every individual as a human is having some or the other connect from their earlier lives. हम वहां से कुछ ना कुछ कैरी करके आ रहे हैं, हमारे पास है. We need to focus on that. So my next slide will be on the main course objectives of what are the common beliefs and ethical principles, practices, and we will be talking about the methodologies of risk management and ethical learnings in management education, how these ethics are helping us in management education. So for that, there is a general outline in next slide, that is Culturation Model, and then 3 simple strategies, principles-based ethics, unhealthy and unhelpful strategies. We'll be talking all about these things. So next slide, please. Next. So we'll be covering all these things on our presentation in today's webinar. And let's focus on the dumb exercise. Everyone knows dumb exercise. Dumb. What do you mean by dumb? That is, जो लोग बोल नहीं पाते हैं, जिनके पास बोलने की शक्ति नहीं होती है. When we are talking about communicating, learning, talking, interacting, we are having those people also who are dumb, who cannot speak. जो बोल सकते हैं वो अपने बात पे बता देंगे. For this, I would like to draw your attention by having certain practices that they used to do. They have certain, God has given them hands and all. They have, by gestural language, they are changing, they are talking, they are making themselves communicate. So there are certain practices that for A, they talk like this: A, B, C, D, E, F, like this. They have given alphabets. Number we all know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all these things. It's very clearly, thank you is this, grace is this. They have selected words and they have created a gesture for that, and that has been taught to the entire community. They know about all these things. So is तरह से dumb practice, every individual should be taught about these practices, that how to interact with these people, how to communicate with these kind of people. There is a special session that I used to take for these dumb people and interaction cycles. So sometimes if it is needed, we can go with that. And next is that acculturation model. When we talk about acculturation model, one way of remaining a lifelong learner provides another way to discuss unethical behaviors and decisions. That is, Acculturation model is, when we talk about culture, we are talking about cultures of different regions, areas, communities, countries, like this. And culture is also the religious transformations, ethical learnings that has been taught so long. Thousands of years back, we have all these things in our learnings. We have been taught about these things. What is acculturization? It is a process to change the cultural behavior of an individual through contact with one another. That is एक process में जाना जहां पे हम we are changing the cultural behaviors. In India, we are having a lot of cultures, many peoples living together in a particular area. In every state, we can see multiple community people living together. This helps us in transformation, in interchange of cultures, in interchange of ideas, thoughts, behaviors, and all. So acculturation, so next slide, please. So this is teaching us about transformation of all those cultures and behaviors with the different kind of individuals. And this process helps us in adaptation as well. Adaptation is an important prospect that today's individuals or generations have to be taught about, that we need to make them adjust into a current scenario. हमें उनको आज के सिनारियो से पहले के सिनारियो में भी लेके जाना है, where people were working. हम आश्रम्स में पढ़ते थे, we have varna system, हम लोग अपने अपने बच्चे, when the kids are very small, they were at home, and after a certain age they went to the ashrams, they took the entire education over there, and after taking their education and learnings and ethical values, they come back to their homes, their places, and there they practice the family life. And after running all those family life and to a certain time and all, they used to retire. They do to go to forest again for their settlements. What is that? This was the cycle of learning. But today, हम छोटे से ही बच्चे को सिखाते हैं ये करो. बच्चा बड़ा नहीं होता उससे पहले ये करो. उससे पहले उसे ये करो. It is something which is imposed to the generation. We need to talk about this thing, that adaptation is important. Change is important, but when to be changed, what stage we need to be changed, that is something very important. उसके लिए हमें acculturation process की importance, we need to talk about this. The next is ethical culturation model, that is an outgrowth of positive ethics that integrate personal ethics and professional ethics. Now we are having professional ethics and personal ethics, both are working parallelly. So ethical acculturation is culturation or adaptation or change with the ethics. हम पुराने ethics को, हमारे पास experiences को, learnings को, practices को, जिसको की आज की generation orthodox, superstition, इस तरह की चीजें बोल के रोक देती. Now I would like to talk about a basic practice. जैसे कि हमारे यहाँ पे in India we have a culture of जब भी हम घर से निकलते हैं, हमारे यहाँ त्योहार होते हैं डेली, हम लोग बड़ों के पैर पड़ते हैं, प्रणाम करते हैं उन्हें. Now I would like to draw everyone's attention here that कितने लोग हैं जो इसकी original cycle को समझते हैं. How many of people are knowing about this practice? कितने लोगों को पता है कि सही तरीके से प्रणाम कैसे करना चाहिए? कोई बता पाएगा? पता होगा कई लोगों को यहाँ पे. Is there anyone who can tell me exactly कैसे प्रणाम करना चाहिए? क्या तरीका होता है सही?
दंडवत प्रणाम.
दंडवत प्रणाम, exactly मैम. साष्टांग दंडवत प्रणाम मतलब जो हम सबसे पहले देखते थे, पूरा लेट कर आपको जिसके भी आशीर्वाद ले रहे हैं, आप उसको अपना माथा आपको उसके फीट पे टच करना होता था. That was the actual style. वो धीरे से बाद में थोड़ा चेंज हो गया और हम थोड़ा बेंड होके नीज पे बेंड होते हैं, प्रणाम करते हैं. बट द साइकिल इज नॉट कंप्लीट. इसका एक्चुअल साइकिल कंप्लीट होता है व्हेन द पर्सन इज टचिंग योर फीट. जब आपका उनका माथा आपके फीट पे टच होता है, आपका हाथ उनके सर पे टच होना चाहिए. इफ दिस एंटायर साइकिल ऑफ टच इज इन्वॉल्व्ड, तभी आपकी ब्लेसिंग्स ट्रांसफर होती है. तभी आपका जो मैसेज आप ट्रांसफॉर्म कर रहे हो, चाहे वो एथिकल हो, विशेस हो, बेस्ट विशेस हो, नॉलेज हो, व्हाटएवर यू आर ट्रांसफरिंग इन योर माइंड, इट विल गो टू द जनरेशन. लेकिन हम लोगों के यहाँ वो प्रथा लगभग खत्म सी हो गई है। आज के डेट में आप कहीं नहीं देखेंगे कि बच्चे घुटने पे नीचे बैठकर पैरों को माथे से टच करते हैं, नहीं देखा होगा आप लोगों ने। दिस कल्चर इज बीन आई शुड से डिमिनिशिंग। तो क्या हो रहा है, हमारी वो साइकिल कंप्लीट नहीं है। व्हेन दिस साइकिल इज नॉट कंप्लीट, we are not transferring the knowledge, we are not transferring the information, we are not transferring the ethical values, principles, humanities, learnings, empathy, sympathy, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है। बिकॉज वो दूर से प्रणाम हो गया और चले गए, ना बड़े ने हाथ रखना, आशीर्वाद सर पे रखना जरूरी समझा, ना छोटे ने सर पे प्रणाम करना जरूरी समझा। सो दिस इज सम प्रैक्टिस जिसको कि जनरेशन आज ऑर्थोडॉक्स कहती है, सुपरफिशियल कहती है, सुपरस्टिशन कहती है। We need to teach them. There are many things that we need to teach like this. This was one example. Another example is हम घर से टीका लगा के निकलते हैं। This टीका लगाना आज की डेट में अगर आप लगा के चले जाते हो तो लोग आपको बोलते हैं अरे बहुत बड़े पंडित आए हैं, तो लोग बहुत धीरे धीरे लगाना छोड़ देते हैं। But this practice of putting chandan or kumkum and the forehead, in the center of the forehead, is helping our chakra to work positively. फोकस रखने के लिए अगर आप कुछ चीज लगा के रखते हैं, आपका फोकस डेवलप होता है। आपने देखा होगा हिप्नोटाइज करने के लिए वी टेक सर्टेन स्ट्रिंग, सर्टेन ऑब्जेक्ट, उसको दिखा के हिप्नोटाइज किया जाता है। तो क्या होता है हिप्नोटिज्म में, व्हेन वी आर यूजिंग दिस ऑब्जेक्ट, वी आर फोकसिंग आवर विजन एंड माइंड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर ऑब्जेक्ट। Likewise, if we are putting any tilak, any kumkum, any tika in the forehead, we are having a kind of vision from our eyes. हमारे दिमाग से, हमारी आंखों से हमारे दिमाग में यहाँ पे फोकस जाता है। And that helps us in focusing towards a particular plan. एक तरफ देखें, बारात का घोड़ा होता है, उसके साइड में आंखों पे लगा रहता है, only to see because straight. उसको इधर उधर चला जाएगा तो दूल्हा कहीं और पहुंच जाएगा, नहीं होना चाहिए। तो हम अपने आप से एक शील्ड डेवलप करें। That is, we should not look when we are focusing on a task, on a work. Our ethics should be involved, our principles should be involved, और उनको लेके ही हमें चलना है। अगर इधर उधर देखना मतलब we are involved with some bad habits, we are some unethical practices, कैसे आगे बढ़ेंगे, कैसे प्रमोशन मिलेगा, कैसे पैसे ज्यादा मिलेंगे, कैसे टास्क कंप्लीट होगा, ये सारी चीजें हमें हैमर करेंगी, रास्ते चलते आएंगी। But we need to focus on only our work with positive things, with ethics and principles. So this practice has to be done. This has to be taken on the process. This is something called acculturation as a process, and it can be a complete process if we are doing this in a particular cycle. सारे cycles को complete करते हो तो बिल्कुल होगा। Some part of psychologist practice and lifestyle may be easily accultured. हम कुछ practice ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं जिसमें हम culturalization को हटाते जा रहे हैं, लेकिन हमेशा it will not help. Every time it will not help. So process that shall likely continue through the management education or career as a psychologist. अब आप यहाँ पे बात कर रहे हैं, many of the psychologists have been involved in this career, so that management education में psychology को लेके आ रहे हैं, behavior को लेके आ रहे हैं। Why this has been inculcated? Because this is the only parameter by which we can bring out the topics and the learnings from education. कैसे हम सिंपल एजुकेशन को मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन बनाने के लिए और अच्छी एजुकेशन बनाने के लिए साइकोलॉजी, बिहेवियर, ह्यूमैनिटी, एथिक्स, प्रिंसिपल्स, कल्चर्स, इन सबको इनकॉर्पोरेट करें, सबको साथ में लेके। So this is a cycle in which we have to do, and the management education has to be done with this, because any degree, any area is not complete if management is there. Any area, doctors भी हैं, if they don't have good management, they cannot work. If they are engineers, if they don't have good management, they cannot do that. But अगर आपके साथ में management involved है, you can do your task in an efficient way with the efficiency of yours as well as organization. So we have to think about the overall growth of the individual and the growth of the organization. हम बढ़ें, साथ में institution, organization and society को भी लेके बढ़ें। हमने सिर्फ फर्स्ट लाइन पकड़ ली है, हम बढ़ते जाएं, आगे बढ़ते जाएं। We are not taking the institutional growth, we are not taking the community growth. If you are seeing this now in the society, people are working like this. So generation has to be taught, it should be inculcated in the syllabus compulsorily, that they should develop with positivity, positive energy. Like this, when we are talking in the next slide, identification of personal value system in management education. That is, when we are talking about personal values in management education, so that you can see the higher degree and the lower degree. There is a change in the philosophies. क्योंकि personal values को हम inculcate नहीं करते. We don't inculcate. Some of them are practicing. Whatever I have learned, I am practicing. Likewise, like me, many of them are doing, but we need to do in a whole. India, we have to create this thing. हमारे पास ethical values बहुत है, learnings बहुत है, but we are not practicing it. So we need to focus mainly on personal value systems to be incorporated in professional world. And this is the only parameter only management education can teach people to transform from personal value system to the professional value system. If both are clubbed together, we'll rock. We'll be the best one as earlier. And then identifying the value system from psychologies, we are having a number of psychological learnings that we can incorporate. So we need to work on these things. A culturation model, we are having certain parameters, certain prospects that can be developed. There is a theory, Berry's theory of acculturation, which is discussed in the next slide, that Berry's gave a theory of acculturization, which was involved in 4 stages. That is assimilation, separation, integration, and marginalization. उन्होंने 4 stages अलग-अलग बताए जिससे कि हम acculturization को develop कर सकते हैं. Next, in assimilation, they has given a matrix in the next slide that is higher on professional ethics. Here we are talking about assimilation. अगली slide में हम बता रहे हैं कि assimilation क्या होता है. Assimilation is wanting to integrate into new culture. Wanting to integrate into new culture means there are people who want themselves to be transformed and they integrate towards the new culture. नए culture की तरफ खुद बढ़ते हैं आगे. They get attracted, they learn, and they find positive things in that culture. That is assimilation, mixing in. And matrices क्या कहते हैं? Higher and lower on professional ethics. हम professional ethics की बात करते हैं. So people are transferring, working from one place to another, getting transfer, working in India, in abroad, and another ways. So higher on professional ethics, if we are not having this behavior in ourselves to integrate with new culture, it will be very difficult to survive. And when we are talking about personal ethics, so it is very lower. Because personal family behaviors में we don't transform many things. We don't involve new cultures. वहाँ पे we are strict towards the cultures, traditions, rituals. We stick to that particular point. Risk involved is what? Developing an overly legislative stance, and we are rigid in confirming the certain rules while missing bordering issues. There are certain issues which has to be taken care. We are living that. So they do not maintain cultural identity. Cultural identity is not maintained there. Adoption of dominant attitude and values. We need to adopt. We are adopting all these things. We are assimilating all these things, attitudes and values from various different cultures and traditions. And then we are taking participation in social groups, communities, institutionals, areas where community meetings are there. We are taking part as a members. We are taking memberships of that, which help us in developing our personality, learning new culture. And lastly, may be evident by change in language preference. Because when we are talking about intercultural behaviors, cross-cultural behavior, we need to learn about the languages as well. We need to transform about the various learnings. So this is all about assimilation. And then next is about separation. Separation, when we are talking about separation, the concept of separation is wanting to maintain their own culture zone. They want to work and maintain their own cultures. They don't want to transform. They don't want to adopt new cultures. There's a second kind of people. Now, matrices say that if it is like this, then you will be having very lower professional ethics. You'll not be able to focus on professional ethics. Because if you're not adopting, if you're not, adaptation is not so good, you'll not be able to work on the professional ethics. And personal ethics, it's good. Because when we are talking about family and individual integrated community, it is on the higher side. So we need to think about both the prospects. And here they place individual value in their original culture. हम अपने individual culture में बहुत अच्छे से fit in हैं, उसको हम change नहीं करना चाहते हैं, and avoid interaction from people of other culture. Those people who have this kind of philosophies in mind, they don't want to interact. They avoid interaction and learning of new cultures. This is second category. The third category is integration. Integration is wanting to maintain their first culture, that is जो उनका खुद का है, वो उसको maintain करते हैं and extend the relations with new cultures as well. नए cultures को भी सीखते हैं and induce all these things in the education as well. Now this has been rewarded and implemented by many of the institutions कि हम वहाँ पे community learning कराते हैं, social works कराते हैं. We have many plans to go with. So we are working on all management education, that if we are learning, if we are informing, if we are transferring information, exchanging ideas and behaviors, ethics and values and humanity with different communities, we'll learn a lot. So इस तरह से we are being rewarded in this integration point. This is the best one, best practice to get the people involved. Here what the people do, they maintain their original culture and interact with new culture as well. तो अपने काम भी वो छोड़ते नहीं है, अपने cultures को छोड़ते नहीं है, and they adopt the new cultures as well. And they reach to the next level of ethics learning. And they exchange the aspirational ethics. अपने community में किसी को आने से रोकते नहीं है, मना नहीं करते. ठीक है? This was all about integration. And the next one is marginalization. The fourth category, what we are talking about is marginalization. That is limited कर लिया है, boundaries बना ली हैं. They are very little concerned about the society ethics, and then don't want to interact. They don't want to enter people into their community. Interaction is zero level, and they don't want to share the culture and adopt the culture. दोनों ही तरह से they are lacking this. They are lacking the appreciation of ethics as well. अपने अलावा वो दूसरे ethics को appreciate भी नहीं करते हैं, motivate भी नहीं करते हैं, आगे भी नहीं जाने देते हैं. So this is marginalization. Now, this was a theory given by Berries. These four aspects, these four stages was given by Berries in their acculturization model. Like after this, we are talking about the three stages of language development. हम जब बात करते हैं transformation की, learning की, तो we need to have language development as well. हम language development नहीं करेंगे, we cannot train. हमें किसी community में जाना है, तो language learn करनी पड़ेगी. Hindi, English, regional, or any country language. We need to go with that. So we have divided this into three stages. It has been divided into three stages. That is communicative function, then integrative function, and then expressive function. Communicative function is transmission of referential information only. Referential information means only that has to be carried out. Only the context has been taken. That is, restricted ideas has been transformed or informed to the next generation. Integrative function, they mark a member of a particular social group. हम वहाँ पे integrate होके एक social community group और exchange के लिए parameters set करते हैं, platform set करते हैं. We are exchanging the ideas and learning parameters in that particular prospect. The third one is the expressive function. That is, it displays linguistic virtuosity. That is, linguistic virtuosity is learning about different languages, trying to adapt into their language and adapt into their culture. So this was about talking and adapting to the new community, to the new culture, and involving and taking part in ours as well as their own cultures. ये interstate भी हो सकता है, inter country भी हो सकता है, colony wise भी हो सकता है. So what we are talking about in new education policy and all that, कि हमें exchange of faculties, exchange of students हमें करना चाहिए. We have to develop that. So I am taking new education policy is not involved in this, but I am taking that reflection here. Why it has been taken? क्योंकि वहाँ पे क्या होगा, exchange of information and ideas की जब हम बात करते हैं, when the faculties are going from one institution to another institution to teach or to give some knowledge, impart some knowledge, the culture has been changed. Every institution, university is having their own culture, their own strategy to impart the knowledge. So टेक्निक हम चेंज कर रहे हैं, बच्चों को नई टेक्नोलॉजी से लर्न करा रहे हैं, टेक्निकल एजुकेशन दे रहे हैं उनको. तो दीज एथिकल लर्निंग्स शुड बी एक्सचेंज बाय डिफरेंट यूनिवर्सिटीज, बाय डिफरेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस. हम उसको स्टूडेंट एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम में भी ला सकते हैं, चाहे तो हम उसे फैकल्टी एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम में भी ला सकते हैं, बट इट्स a platform that we should do it, and new education policy has given us this liberty to do. So we'll be happy to exchange all these ideas and community exchange behaviors. My next slide is all about principle-based ethics. That is autonomy, beneficence, normalism, fidelity, justice. When we are talking about principle-based ethics, so principle-based ethics means first one is the autonomy. That we should respect the autonomy. What is autonomy? Autonomy does not mean promoting autonomy, that is individual working. एक ही आदमी काम करे, एक ही तरीके से काम किया जाए. No, it should not be there. When we are talking about working culture, ideas and ethics should be taken from everyone, and discussed in a common platform, and then particular standards has to be created. That develops the institution to grow rather than working on only one principle. We need to induce many of them. The second one is making means respecting autonomous decision making ability. हमें decision making ability जो है individual ability को छोड़ने नहीं देना चाहिए. Every individual need to have their own area to think, their own area to make a decision, make the awareness, and then talk about that. So authority should be given, autonomy should be given for every faculty member. And then it encompasses freedom of thoughts and action. Every student in education, every faculty in education, senior level, higher level, should have the freedom of thoughts, actions, and expression. Means we need to involve a case study pedagogy so that people should incorporate and inculcate with their individual minds and ideas. हमें उनको generate करवाना है, develop कराना है, and then these individuals will practice. If we are giving the opportunity for the students to come up with their ideas, with their thoughts and emotions, and if we are appreciating all those things, definitely they will come up. And then individuals have the liberty to behave as they have chosen these things. Therapies are given, autonomy से आप decide कर पाएं, decision making कर पाएं, उसके लिए आपको therapies दी जाती हैं. There are certain psychological therapies as well where we can do this. You are having your power of taking life decisions, what kind of decisions should be taken, how it is good, how it is bad, and then scheduling appointments and terminating treatment. कैसे appointments लेने हैं उन्हें, कैसे उन्हें treatments देने हैं, कैसे उन्हें आगे बढ़ना है. Sir, next slide, please. When we are talking about autonomy, next, autonomy, we have to give the consent as well. That what is the foundation standard, what is the organizational standard, and how we are working. And according to that, the psychologists are there who are assessing your own capacities, and they are giving you therapies. They can counsel you, they can give you consultation, they can give some electronic transmissions if it is needed. That is the last stage where they take the help and support. So first, earlier it is only the assessment, therapy and counseling. People are getting from these as well. इतने में ही solutions मिल जाते हैं and उनकी autonomic power develop होती है. So this is a practice which has been done. Next one is beneficence. That is the principle of benefiting others and accepting the responsibility do good underlies in the profession. आप कैसे benefit दे रहे हैं principles को, ethics को society के साथ में develop करके, how you are developing, how you are maintaining the generation to come to that level. जो हम एक earlier time पे बात कर रहे थे कि हमारे long thousands of years back we are having ethics and principles, उसको आज के date में कैसे benefit मिलता है, we have to correlate that. उसके benefits हमें दिखाने हैं, उनके साथ में उसकी utility दिखानी. If we are giving any benefits, they are definitely using it. आप logic दोगे बच्चा मानेगा, logic नहीं दोगे बच्चा नहीं मानेगा. Give the logic. Giving logic is learning. वही logic ही learning है, क्योंकि हमें ही नहीं पता है तो हम next generation को क्या देंगे. So the foremost thing is we should learn to teach them, to make them learn. तो पहले हमें सीखना पड़ेगा, हमें transform करना पड़ेगा और हमारे साथ में हम उनको लेके आगे बढ़ेंगे. This is the only treatment. This is the only way we can bring up the next generation. We can have the quality of management learning. Then competency. It should be complete. Whatever knowledge we are giving, it should be complete. It should not be short. जो आप बताएं उसको लॉजिक के साथ बताएं, कंप्लीट नॉलेज दें, रेफरेंस दें, लिटरेचर बताएं. लिटरेचर बताने से कभी भी आपको कोई बोलेगा नहीं, आपकी बात को मान ली जाएगी. आप स्टूडेंट्स को, जनरेशन को तभी कन्विंस कर सकते हैं when there is logic with correctness. So we have to teach them benefits of this. Then is when we are talking about benefits, we need to see the benefits about individual, society, everyone. All the stakeholders should be benefited. All the stakeholders should be found benefited. ये हमें सबसे पहले ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. And these psychologists are teaching all these things. Then is normalization. That is the principles of so doing no harm. हमें सबको normalize करना है, demonstrate करना है competence. कैसे आप में आपस में competition develop करना है without having a rival kind of feeling. Competition develop करना है, but rivalry नहीं आनी चाहिए, दुश्मनी नहीं आनी चाहिए. Healthy competition कैसे हो सकता है? उसको हेल्दी कंपटीशन सिखाना है. टुडे द स्टूडेंट्स, द जनरेशन इज लर्निंग ऑल अबाउट कंपटीशन, नंबर, परसेंटेज. ओनली दैट इज द क्राइटेरिया. दे आर नॉट कंपीटिंग देमसेल्व्स. हम अपने साथ compete ही नहीं करते हैं, हम दूसरे के साथ compete करते हैं, दूसरे के साथ आगे बढ़ते हैं. तो वी शुड लर्न टू compete with ourselves. अपना benchmark ऊपर करें, अपना level increase करें, अपने potential को increase करें. If one student is 100%, you cannot be 100%. Your potential is only 80. At least reach that, then work on it. So people should realize, the students generation should be realized about what is normal efficiency and what is the next level that you have to achieve. सिर्फ उसको नंबर का ग्रेड देके नहीं बताना है, नॉलेज लेके आगे बढ़ना है, ये बताना है. 3 Idiots was a movie, हमने सबने देखी है 3 Idiots. उसमें वो बोलते हैं कि नंबर के पीछे मत भागो. That is something very good concept which has told to the movies. Like that we have to impose these things कि बेटा सिर्फ नंबर काउंट मत देखो, अगर नॉलेज होगा तो you will survive in life. नॉलेज काउंट से सिर्फ आप एक कागज लेके आगे बढ़ सकते हो, that is degree. But knowledge is something that is very much required. पढ़ो, टेक्निक समझो, प्रैक्टिकली करके देखो. That is normal. सिर्फ डिग्री लाना 90%, 95%, 98% is not normal. Acquiring knowledge, ethics, principles, inducing all these things in management education, in your education is normal. तो normal क्या है वो उनको बताना है. And then providing them the benefits of this. Risk क्या हो सकते हैं, cost क्या आ सकती है. भाई ठीक है, आप अच्छी चीजें आपने पढ़ी हैं तो definitely you will be getting good. Rather than सिर्फ रट्टू तोतागिरट पढ़ा, डिग्री ली, पास हो गए. डिग्रीज n नंबर है हमारे पास, बोलने को कुछ नहीं आता है. So that is not knowledge. Normal knowledge is about having behavioral change in yourself. अच्छे इंसान की तरह बिहेव करना, ह्यूमैनिटी की तरफ बिहेव करना. एक तरफ मुझे कॉलेज टाइम पे पहुंचना है, दूसरी तरफ एक एक्सीडेंट हो गया है और मैं उसको देखना छोड़ के मैं उठ के अपने ऑफिस जा रही हूँ, तो आई एम नॉट अ ह्यूमन. आई शुड नॉट डू दिस थिंग. लेकिन आज लोग जा रहे हैं, रोज सड़क पे आपको जाते हुए एक्सीडेंट्स मिलेंगे. हम में से कुछ लोग हैं जो पूछते हैं, कुछ लोग देखते भी नहीं है. दे आर नॉट इवन वरीड अबाउट दिस थिंग. दिस इज नॉट नॉर्मल. दिस इज नॉट एथिकल. दिस इज नॉट प्रिंसिपल. एथिकल इज व्हाट? पहले हम उनको सर्व करें, उसको सही जगह तक पहुंचाएं. एक दिन लेट हो जाओगे, तनख्वाह कटेगी, पैसे नहीं मिलेंगे, फाइन. तो नॉलेज शुड बी गिवन. सही क्या है वो करना पड़ेगा. नॉलेज इज ऑल अबाउट डूइंग गुड थिंग्स, बैड थिंग्स. इसमें से सही चूज करना सिखाना है. तो वी हैव द बेसिक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कि हम अपने नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को बताएं कि अच्छे काम करो, कनेक्ट रखो, सिंपैथी एम्पैथी डेवलप करके रखो, ह्यूमैनिटी की तरफ जाओ. मार काट नहीं करनी है, कंपटीशन रखना है, बट हेल्दी कंपटीशन, जिससे कि तुम्हारा भी डेवलपमेंट हो, इंस्टीट्यूशन का भी डेवलपमेंट हो. दैट इज नॉर्मल, दैट इज स्टैंडर्ड, दैट द सुपरविजन वी हैव टू डू. And it is requested from all the members who are attending the webinar should do a practice. Many of them may be doing, many of them should try to do this. कि बच्चों को आप ये सिखाएं, मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन में प्रिंसिपल एथिकल लर्निंग ये बताएं. एथिक क्या है, बेस क्या है, प्रिंसिपल क्या है, वो करो. सही है वो करो. नंबर कम मिले चलेगा, बॉस सीनियर बुरा मान जाए तो चलेगा, बट डू द एथिकल वन, द राइट वन. At least in the night you will sleep properly. That is normal. We have to think from that prospect. And the next one is fidelity. That is principles refers to being faithful and commitment. We need to have our commitments, our faithfulness towards the commitments which we have given, which we have done towards our family, towards our society, to our institution, to the entire community and globe as well. हमें इस धरती पे भी भेजा गया है to do certain things. We are here to do certain, we are here to fulfill certain commitments. हम वो commitment भूल जाते हैं. सिर्फ हमें सिर्फ फैमिली याद रहती है, इंस्टीट्यूशन याद रहता है, दोस्त याद रहते हैं, रिलेटिव्स याद रहते हैं. That's it. We don't know that the eternal power is there, which has sent here for certain kind of humanity development. आप जो भी काम करें उसमें development क्या है, human race का development क्या है, आपको भेजा इसीलिए गया है. We all are here to develop this thing. Ideology is that only. But people don't know about this thing. हम ये सबसे बड़ा commitment जो है जिसके लिए हम यहाँ धरती पे हैं, we forget this thing. So we need to focus on that first commitment to the eternal God who has sent you. कि आप जाए human race society को develop करें. जो cultures ethics मैंने पुराने जमाने में बजा के भेजे थे उसको transform करें आगे. पुरानी वापस चीजें उनको डेवलप करें. ठीक है, टेक्नोलॉजी इज देयर, साइंस इज देयर, उसके साथ हमें आगे जाना है, बट ट्रस्टवर्दीनेस, लॉयल्टी, ऑनेस्टी, humanity, ethical learning should be there. Management education is all about these things. When we are talking about these things, we have prepared a foundational standards and all these things to continue with the education, but this has to be incorporated. Then after this is justice. When we are talking about justice, it is referring to the fairness, the equality, the balance of right and wrong. We have to maintain that justice level as well. वो हमें देखना पड़ेगा. Then justice in age, gender equality, culture, nation wise, origin wise, socio-economic status wise, law के हिसाब से everything has to be taken on a equilibrium. A justice parameter has to be set. और ये कई बार किताबों में मिलेगा, कई बार नहीं मिलेगा, but we have to transform that. Then is unhealthy or unhelpful strategies. That is some strategies which are helping us to way back, keep the things aside, and there are certain things which are not helping, so we need to keep them. Unhealthy things को avoid करना है, strategies को avoid करना है. I guess I'm not taking enough time. How much time I'm having? Can anyone tell me?
Madam, you have
Madam, you
already
can continue.
exceeded the time, but it was
So should I
very
continue to
mesmerizing.
You
But
can
if you can
conclude,
please
madam.
conclude quickly.
Yeah. That's why I asked. I thought that the time is already over. I'll conclude, sir. So when we are talking about this thing, we need to go on the strategies which are helpful. We need to follow that, and all unhealthy and unhelpful strategies should be taken off, should be taken aside. And then there is a self-disclosure where we are never appropriate by psychologists. During self-disclosure means trying and talking all about the personalities, the individuals, and the self-disclaimers that we are giving ourselves and the community. हमें उसमें बात करनी पड़ेगी. Then is next is our psychotropic medication. Psychotropic meditation is all about talking to the patients. Patients means here, patient doesn't mean every individual. We are talking about who are having some psychological prospects, who are not able to differentiate the ethical things and unethical things. हम उनको भी patients कह रहे हैं यहाँ पे. तो उनको psychotropic medications provide करनी है, and if needed, technical support should be given, and then these things should be incorporated in that. And then when we are not providing the proper treatment in the initial stages, that go to suicidal attempts and all these things. So if we are, the most important thing about my philosophy is that we have to I judge the injury at the earlier stage, at the very earlier stage. Last stage पे जाके उसे नहीं identify करना, rather than we should try to incorporate it in the earlier stage, so that वो suicidal or homicidal patients और उस type के stages में develop ही ना हो, उस तरह की आगे stages में ही ना जाए. तो उसके लिए हमें उनको पहले ही stage पे develop करना पड़ेगा. And these ethical learnings and principal learnings and management education helps a lot. आप पूरी psychology को change कर सकते हैं किसी भी individual. I have seen, and this practice should be incorporated in all the institutions, in all the universities and everywhere, in the personal behaviors as well, so that जब हमें ethical चीजें पता होगी तो हम कुछ भी गलत करने ही नहीं जाएंगे. We will be calm, quiet, and happy with our lives. Definitely, when we are talking about happiness index, so definitely it will rise. Individual satisfaction should be there. That is all what I want to transform. And thank you for patiently listening to me and taking all the knowledge that I had. And if anyone is having any queries, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. If anybody has any queries, they can definitely ask. Although we have exceeded the time, but in the spirit of the seminar, we would definitely have a minute or two for questions. Meantime, I must appreciate, madam, that you have given a very mesmerizing speech on this topic. And my earlier belief is cemented that we can definitely learn from everyone. Your talk was almost like reading a full book. And I don't know, I see reference of psychology in your CV. but having some knowledge of psychology definitely helps management teachers. And probably this has enriched us in a big way. Any questions? The audience, any questions, please? Sir, would you like to ask
Yeah.
anything?
Dr. Singh, thank you very much. I think your interaction with you, I will not say your lecture, interaction with you, all the faculty members and all the participants of webinar must have learnt a lot, and it must have given them enough strength so that they can follow the technique कि रात को सोने से पहले 5 मिनट अपने पूरे दिन की आपने क्या अच्छा काम किया है, क्या बुरा काम किया है, जो बुरा काम किया है उसको कल नहीं करने का इरादा, जो अधूरा रह गया है उसको पूरा करने का इरादा लेकर इंसान के अंदर सारे के सारे जो चीजें हैं वो डेवलप हो जाएंगी. And really it was very, very informative for me also. I have actually learned a lot from your talk, and I am thankful to all the participants, and special thanks to Dr. Samir, Dr. Chauhan, Tushar, and Sangeeta, who had organized this webinar, and it has delivered its best, I will say like that. Now I'll request Dr. Chauhan also to coordinate with Dr. Samir to have another webinar on culture.
Sure, sir.
It's a very vast subject. Why we have started these things? It is because of a new education policy demands this. And try to get into the topics which will be more relevant to the students. Similarly to Director MC Bhopal, I've just given him one topic, but basically what it should be related to that particular thing. So both the teams, that is team of Director MC and Dr. Chauhan, that is they can plan their webinars, and we can have within a month the dates can be assigned, and you can be convener of your webinars and inculcate your all staff into this particular thing. And rest, thank you very much, Dr. Roy and Dr. Singh and all other participants. And from my side, there is nothing else. The webinar was of a very high standard, no doubt about it. And we have achieved our aim in, and the justice has been done to the topic by both the speakers. And once again, thank you very much. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I request our Professor Dr. Sheikh Srivastav, Faculty of Education, Maharishi University, to deliver a formal vote of thanks. Sir, VC sir, in fact, I would like to also inform you that I and Dr. Chauhan have been discussing this, and we thought that we must have a seminar on transcendental meditation, because many of us are new to the institutions and we are not very much exposed to this concept. So we were thinking of having a seminar on that. One more thing.
One thing is absolutely right, that is seminar on transcendental meditation. What we can do is that is you can plan it, and the speakers I will provide you from the MSS. That is the persons who are the masters in TM techniques. So I'll request Honorable Chairman and Chancellor sir, that is to give me the names and dates. That will be communicated to you, that is when to have it on the transcendental meditation. That is there. Though this technique is not So we'll discuss it little later on about it, but it will be done. I can assure you. That is, we will hold a webinar on this thing also, and we'll have both the guest speakers from the society only. That is, who are the masters, and one is Dr. Lane, who is teaching in to MSS, and he is more concentrated on our main headquarters at Kurundi also, and that will look into it. Any other thing which you would like to ask or add? Anything?
That's also. I think we can hand over to Dr. Abhishek Srivastava.
Just one minute, Dr. Chauhan, any other thing?
No, sir, I think that will cover the basic things. Basically, we want to introduce our students to the meditation and other this type of things so that they will adopt management with the meditation part.
And Director MC, any other thing you would like to ask or suggest?
Chandra, I really appreciate this kind of series of webinars, and I look forward to have more on the philosophical topics, on the spiritual development, and the development of humanity. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Samit.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Samir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Jai Gurudev, and good afternoon, everyone. I feel privileged to extend my warm regard on behalf of Maharishi University of Management and Technology, Mangala Bilaspur, to all present here, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Colonel Dr. T.P.S. Kankrasha, respected Chief Guest and Speaker, Dr. Rishu Royji, respected special guest and speaker, Dr. Subha R. Singh ji, respected Registrar, Dr. Vijay Garudik sir, respected Dr. Rakesh Chauhan ji, Dean Academic, Professor Dr. Shamir Sharma ji, AR Examination Captain Mukesh Atlakha ji, Senior Administrative Officer Shubedar K.K. Shahu ji, my colleagues and all participants. First of all, I would like to give my hearty vote of thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Colonel Dr. T.P.S. Kankrasha, for gracing the webinar. Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking and interesting address. Further, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. Rishu Roy and Dr. Subha R. Singh ji, for giving an excellent presentation and making this webinar very meaningful and interesting. I extended my gratitude to our honorable chief guest to take our time for their busy schedules to grace the event. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us. For your words on this special day, I would like to express our deep gratitude to the Registrar, Dr. Vijay Garudik, for this presence in this webinar. I also wish to express my gratitude to Dr. Rakesh Chauhan ji for his guidance and support. I would also thank our beloved academic dean, Professor Dr. Shamir Sharma ji, for his guidance and moral support. It is a matter of great honor for me to thank you all dignitaries. I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar of their valuable presence and contribution to making this webinar a great success. A special thanks to the whole team members, Mr. Tushar Ranjanwari, Dr. Yogendra, Dr. Garima, Mr. Rakesh Khillan, Ms. Sangeeta Patel, are providing immense support to make the webinar successful. I extend my gratitude to the Head of Commerce and Management Departments to organize this webinar. I must thank the organizing team and volunteers for working hard for the past few days to make this webinar successful. I congratulate all the participants of their active participation. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, once again for making it great success. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Gurudev. Over to you, sir.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, we can leave now.
Jai
Jai
Gurudev.
Gurudev, sir.
Jai Gurudev, sir.
Jai Gurudev,
Jai
sir.
Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.